Orlando and the LA Clippers. Tobias Harris won Aaron Gordon. Good start for Orlando. And whenever you get in the open court, DJ Augustine, you know who he's looking for.
You're looking for that guy that jumps to the moon.
Absolutely. Then it's Jonathan Simmons. You know, it's good to see Orlando playing defense than running the floor.
Yes, with all that length they had, they need to be blocking shots like that. Is that Mo Bamba? Oh, no, that was Isaac said, get that shot out of here.
Clippers getting back into it. They're poised. Tobias Harris, one of those poised players, hitting the mid-range. Then Danilo Gallinari, another one of those poised players. 19-4 run for the Clippers.
Amazing when Gallinari stays healthy, how his teams can wind up winning games.
That's right.
Certainly played just 21 games last year, has been around this season. And Aaron Gordon, you know not to jump with him when he's flying through the paint like that. Wise decision.
Yeah, you got to rotate quicker, Chris.
Clippers keeping it going in the second half. There's Tobias getting a touch. Then Montrezl Harrell.
The Energizer Bunny.
Flexes his muscle.
Old school, no?
Yeah, Coach, he's old school.
You love that.
Oh, come on, man. He's not drifting out there to the three-point line.
Then Lou Williams pushing the pace. A lot of Clippers highlights here, and you see that lead escalating. 15 points now, up that count to 17. Tobias Harris, 28 points, 9 rebounds. The Clippers get the win, 106-96. Brooklyn in Chicago. Jared Allen is a guy blossoming in front of our eyes. It's not just that afro. It's the offense and the defense.
Well,
there's the O.
We call it Afro power. Blocking shots, dunking on people. Get that shot out of here, Afro power.
He's earning that reputation on a defensive end.
Listen to me, all the things that Rudy Gobert has done in the previous years to earn his name, he's starting to do the same thing now.
And 19 points.
He's only 20 years old.
Just getting started, Coach.
Yeah.
He's just getting started.
Speaking of which, D'Angelo Russell knocking it down, and DeMarre Carroll doing the same. 20 points
The veteran.
for DeMarre.
The veteran still getting it done.
Shabazz Napier in the fourth quarter. You know, that's a guy with a clutch pedigree.
Yes, good call, Chris.
18 points for him, and we got ourselves a 15-point Brooklyn lead. D'Angelo Russell.
Oh,
28
ice water,
points.
ice water, ice water.
5
ice
assists.
water.
Brooklyn gets the win, 117-100. Look at their record now, 20-21 in contention, competing in the Eastern Conference. Here's D'Angelo Russell following another win. And there's a game we're here to get you ready for. We the North, the Toronto Raptors and the Indiana Pacers, they tip off right here in just a few minutes.
No, I'm still waiting for Golden State to step on the pedal, but they're...
I don't know if it's happening.
I don't know. They've just been treading water, basically.
Yeah.
And I wrote it in power rankings. So if you look at, like, the league average in efficiency is 108.5 points per 100 possessions. So a good game would be to score more efficiently than that and hold your opponents to a number less than that.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors did that in their last game, but they haven't done that in 2 straight games since early November.
So they're tired.
They haven't put together 2 like quality games in regard to both ends of the floor in almost 2 months.
They look tired. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be funny. They look mentally and emotionally whipped to me when I watch them play sometimes.
I don't know. Like, we're not even halfway into the season though. Like I understand it's been a 4-year run and like it's basically unprecedented. What they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, going to the finals 4 straight years and, you know, coming back and, you know, having the expectations of winning another championship. But, you know, we're not even halfway into the season, you know, yeah.
I know, but shoot, I think back to that Detroit team that went to, 6 straight Eastern Conference final. And by the time their run was up, they looked spent. I don't care who you are, when you play and grind like this, it's just tough, which makes LeBron playing the way he does strange, you know, like the most odd thing I've ever seen. But they look spent, shoot. I'm telling you, I was watching the other night and I'm looking at their body language. I don't even know if they recognize how exhausted they look. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, when you're tired and, you know, run down, you look in the mirror and you're still, you know, you got your fantasy glasses on. You're looking at yourself saying, I'm fine, everything's great. And then I watch them try and get up and down the floor, and they just look tired. They look like they're going through the motions, not because they want to, but because their bodies are telling them that's the price you pay to win at the level they've won the past 4 years.
I'm trying to think, they haven't really given guys days off, have they? Other than, Curry has been injured and Draymond Green was injured.
Right.
But they haven't started doing, rest days.
They need rest weeks. I think some of their guys need like a week off. Remember LeBron when he just took a week off, went to Miami or whatever a few years ago? Like, I think Steve Kerr should allow, an excused absence for an entire week for some guys, just to let them recharge.
John Schumann, Sekou Smith, always good time with the Hang Time podcast. Tuesdays are for players only. 3D, where you headed this week?
I'll be out to the Bay Area.
Oh, that should be a great one then. Timberwolves and Thunder, they have the early game, and they will have themselves a new head coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Thunder also playing tonight against the Washington Wizards.
Ooh.
And Russell Westbrook has been struggling with his shot. PG-13 finds him. They're ahead of Washington in the first quarter. Kyle Lowry back in the lineup for the Toronto Raptors after missing the last 6 games. Kawhi Leonard will not play against the Indiana Pacers, the second night of a back-to-back. That's coming up in just a few minutes right here on NBA TV. But breaking news coming out of Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the president and head coach of the Timberwolves. According to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Ryan Saunders looks like he's in the running to step in as the interim head coach. What do you think of that decision, 3D?
I like it a lot. Obviously, his dad kind of setting the way for him and being around the franchise pretty much his whole life. And I think Coach being young and understanding what Cat and Wig and this young team's about. Derrick Rose is having a phenomenal year, comeback year, so to speak. He's been a part of that movement, working out with him on days off. So the question for me, Coach, is what advice can he reach out to someone like yourself to help him with in-game coaching decisions, things of that nature? But being able to relate to the players, knowing the system, I think he's ready for it.
First of all, we have to realize that they fired one of the top 5 coaches, in my opinion, in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Tom Thibodeau is a teacher. Mm-hmm. He's a game coach. He wins basketball games. So to make that decision, something was going on that we obviously don't know right now. The relationship with Saunders and the owner is the father connection. Flip Saunders was a very, very loyal person to the owner. Mm-hmm. And the owner, I think, always appreciated it, will never forget some of the things that Flip did for him along the way. I know this, Flip made him an awful lot of money at one point on one major decision that he had to make. And the owner, I don't ever think is going to forget that. Right. And as a result, he's seen his son pay the dues. He respects what the son has done, respects the son and father, and therefore he's given him a chance.
Well, according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, their source on Ryan Saunders being who Glenn Taylor wants as the head coach long term. So he's hoping that he can earn that spot. But we also have reports from multiple sources that Fred Hoiberg is in consideration for either the GM or the head coaching spot. So we're hearing 2 names out there. It's interesting because Fred Hoiberg was in Chicago following Tom Thibodeau, now could possibly follow him in Minnesota.
And they have Scott Layden still, I believe,
yes, Scott Layden's
still there. And Scott Layden gets along with everyone. Yes. Remember his pedigree, his background, coming out of that San Antonio program, a lot of people were after Scott Layden. So I think I hope Scott Layden's given a chance. If they bring Hoiberg in, can Layden and Hoiberg work together in the front office? Yeah. That'd be something to look at.
Certainly a situation that is just now developing in Minnesota. But as we see this, you see Tom Thibodeau, like you say, a great coach in the league. Why make this move now, at this point in the season?
Well, obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. But to Coach's point earlier, the way our league is going, Cat has a direct line to the ownership. We know Wiggs just signed his new contract. Most of us around the NBA were saying to ourselves, what's taking this team so long to be further along when you look at Denver and other young teams who are winning and playing top-notch basketball? Lately, they're 5-3, they're playing good. Cat's playing out of his mind. Maybe they wanted to pull the trigger now, Coach, to get ready for maybe some more trades possibly before February.
Certainly an interesting situation that we will keep you updated on as the night progresses. Just finding out about the story in the last couple of minutes. The Raptors and the Pacers going to play right here on NBA TV in the next couple of minutes. Victor Oladipo looking to lead Indiana to their 7th straight win.
Down to 3, down to 2, it's a 3. Good! Good! He got it! James Harden, a flamethrower! Incredible shot!
Indeed it was, but check out this incredible quote from Daryl Morey. The Rockets GM says James Harden is the best offensive player of all time. What about Kareem, Michael, Kobe, guys like that? Brendan, is that hyperbole to say that James Harden is the greatest offensive player of all time?
I think it would be a better quote if you said he's the best offensive player of maybe this season, or maybe he's the best offensive player of this range, of this time period. But all time, I think it's very hard when you talk about what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was able to do, when you talk about what Michael Jordan was able to do. These guys were, Mike, especially Mike, he had plenty of seasons where he was over 30 points per game, between 30 and 35 points, and shooting incredible percentages along the way. I think from a one-on-one standpoint, when you look how physical the game was back in the day, Michael Jordan, to me, is still the best individual offensive player of all time. And if you put him in today's game where you couldn't touch him, I think that he would be even better. And it's hard to imagine Mike being even better, but he played through the bad boy Pistons and those Knicks teams that were really, really physical. You can't touch people now. He would have lived at the free throw line also, and he would have been able to get his game off in the mid-post.
I think the most accurate version of that quote may have been, he has been put in position to be the most prolific offensive player in the regular season. And I think that's possible. I think you could argue that. I think there are a lot of different statistical metrics you could use to say he has been put in position to be the most prolific. But to say you're the best offensive player of all time, like you said, if I take Michael Jordan, I put him in this era, and I tell him to do the things that they're asking James Harden to do, it's possible he grows and evolves into doing that at an altogether different level. You just don't know. But I certainly think he's been put in position. He's been really empowered, frankly, to take what used to look like horrifically bad shots. Mike D'Antoni is very comfortable with him taking those shots, and because they're running their entire offense through him, he goes 17, 18 seconds on the shot clock and then goes to a step back three. By the numbers, he only has to make a certain number of those to be the most prolific and efficient offensive player. That's fact. It's not a lot of fun to watch. He's awfully.
Oh, let's start the debate.
Out, Griff. I'm not going to let you come up here and slander James Harden's game.
No slander. No slander.
Saying it's not fun to watch. James Harden. You watched that Golden State game, that wasn't fun to watch. James Harden was hitting crossovers, step back. He crossed Clay over, gave him the little slap on the butt, hit the shot on Draymond. Listen, he's making such great individual moves. I can't say that. I understand he goes to the free throw line a lot. I understand his usage is very high. But guess what? With Chris Paul out, I don't think I want Daniel House creating shots for himself. So I think I love what he's doing, and I think it's exciting.
So for me, I'm not trying to slander him at all. I think what he's done has been mind-numbing. And it's a mea culpa on my part for not appreciating him enough before this run. It really is. It's remarkable. I don't like watching someone go dribble tantrum for 18 seconds. I don't. I like the ball to move. I like the game when it's symmetry in motion. I like it when it's the floor spread and the ball hums around. Now, look, the reality is most of the best players in this league play a very similar way to James. It's just that they don't have the ability to take and make difficult shots like he does, so they have to draw and kick, which then starts the ball moving around.
I got a question for you.
So I'm holding him responsible for the fact that he can actually make shots that other people don't get to take. What does Steph Curry look like if he's not playing with other players who demand the ball and demand movement? Steph Curry can take and make almost all of those same shots. But he's not playing that way. And I would rather watch that product personally.
And I think that Steph Curry can play a different way and he can play a different style because he gets absolute spacing when you talk about Klay Thompson and when you talk about those other players out there, Kevin Durant. He doesn't have to play that way. James has to play that way. Similar, my question was, when you say you don't like James Harden's style playing that way, It's the exact same style LeBron James had last year when they went to the finals.
Right, but
Guess
he's
what?
drawing and kicking.
But who else was LeBron going to let Jordan Clarkson take him to the playoffs? No, that is a recipe.
Totally get it.
That is a recipe for failure. I think that James Harden, he does have high usage, but guess what? I think a lot of guys have high usage in this league, and when you look at Houston's team, especially right now with what they have with Chris Paul being out, I think he has to play like this, and I love seeing it, and it's been successful. We just saw LeBron go to the finals last year, basically with him and 4 rocks starting.
It's a true story.
Well, you mentioned that success. It's been 12 games of it, and what a run it's been for James Harden. 40 points a night over the last
James.
12 games.
I got
scored
you back,
at least
James.
40 points in each of the last 5 games. Listen to the names on that list. Jordan, Kobe, AI. Those are the only other players to do it in the last 50 years.
Are they good? Those names sound like good names.
I think they're historically good.
They're
so,
pretty good.
Will that streak extend to 6 games tonight, Brendan?
I'm saying yes. I'm going over. I think James is on a run. I think, once again, the usage is high. He's hot right now. He's incredibly confident. And there's not really a player on Portland's team that I worry about defensively that can get into James and force him to do something that he doesn't want to do or make him uncomfortable. So I think James goes over 40 tonight.
I'm going to go with the under. And the reason is,
Hey.
I'm going to go with the under. And the reason is, for me personally, I just look at that list. I look at the names on that list. I look at how many times he's done it, and I'm going to go for regression to the mean. He's due to have a regular superstar kind of night where he gets 34.
Okay.
Maybe we should save this for later tonight and see who came out on top with their prediction. Okay.
You seen movie Trading Places? Gentleman's bet? $1 Winthorpe.
Placed at 7:10 p.m. Warriors also